Newcastle will be looking to make it 4 Premier League victories in a row when they head to the London Stadium on Saturday afternoon to take on top 4 hopefuls, our beloved West Ham. The away side, who are now out of the relegation zone, will enter the contest off the back of a 1-0 win over Aston Villa, while West Ham played out a 2-2 draw with Leicester City at the King Power Stadium. Welcome back to the West Ham Network. I'm Anton. I'm joined by Matt. I've got no official camera working. I'm using a laptop camera, so bear with me, and I hope you are all well. Matt, Newcastle at home. The big dogs are coming into town with the big money. How you feeling about it, mate? You do this every week.
What? They're just one of these teams I don't like playing. Because if you go back on recent records, it's either one way or the other. Yeah. Like, there's not really recently been like close games. It seems to tend that one team just seems to steamroll the other. And we have picked a worse time to play them.
In form.
3 wins on the bounce. Right.
Yep.
It's big man up top that we always hate playing. Thought we'd see the back in this season.
Well, listen. Hold your thoughts, mate. Hold your horses. Let's talk Newcastle. Let's get straight into the nitty-gritty, mate. Now, as you said, mate, they have really kind of turned a corner since losing at home to Manchester City in December. They lost 4-0. They've unbeaten in the last 5 Premier League games, drawn with Man United and Watford, beaten Leeds, Everton and Aston Villa. They've won their last 3 in the league, including a 1-0 success against Aston Villa, which we know is not an easy team to beat right now. Kieran Trippier scored a first half free kick, which decided the contest at St James's Park. But Eddie Howe has brought the team out of the relegation zone, and they're currently sitting 17th in the table, 4 points from safety, but other teams do have games in hand. What do you think of Eddie Howe so far, mate?
They definitely, from what I've seen, they look, just in general, look a better fit than they did under Steve Bruce, which isn't really hard. Steve Bruce was very negative, Big Sam-esque football.
Yeah.
And fans are never happy with that sort of football, but you will begrudgingly accept it if it's working.
Yeah.
But when you're fighting relegation the whole time and you've got like the worst attacking stats in the league, like, you know, possession, passes in the final third, shots, goals, everything. And you know how will bring that in. Like you go back, if you think, even for us in recent times, our battles against Bournemouth when Bournemouth got relegated, there was always goals. You know, there was that famous one, Callum Wilson scored, that was it, handball goal. There was a Boxing Day game that finished 3-3. He's injected life they spent money, but they spent money wisely.
Yeah.
Yes, they went and splashed 120 million, but Eddie Howe, if Ellis was realistic, he had certain targets he wanted. He didn't get a couple of them. It was defenders he was looking at that he didn't get. I can't remember the guy's name. There was one in France, one in Spain. He did, however, bring in Dan Burn.
Yep.
And he put in a man of match performance last week against Aston Villa. 6'6", commanding, ball playing centre back, which is what he wanted. Like you said, he put in Kieran Trippier, who's scored 2 in 2. Thankfully, well, not thankfully, you won't show anyone, but broke his foot.
Yeah.
So he is not going to be playing. I mean, Eddie Howe said today that he'll be back before the end of the season. But they brought him in. They brought Dan Burn in. They got Matt Targett on loan from Aston Villa. So, for a team that plays a back five, he's brought in 3 new players.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost rejigged his whole back five. I'm not going to try and pronounce the guy's name they brought in from France, the Brazilian centre mid. Only had fleeting minutes so far.
Guimaraes, I believe it is.
Guillemez. Was his first name Bruno? Would you go with that?
Bruno, yeah, that's the one.
We'll go with that one. I don't know a lot about him. However, the reports out of France from quote unquote journalists, rave reviews of him, can play as a holding midfielder or an attacking. So really is an all-action midfielder, can do either job. So he's going to probably bring solidity to their midfield.
Yeah.
And like I said, they brought Chris Wood up front. Now the guy hasn't scored a goal yet for Newcastle.
And up steps West Ham.
That's one of his favourite teams to play against.
Yeah.
But look, he's brought in some players. He needed players in. They look more solid. I remember watching at times this season, and you just thought they just didn't know how to defend. Like every time the team went forward, it's like not only could they not defend it, but they like every player in the back line had a mistake in them. Yeah. So he's brought in experience, reliability, and leadership to shore up that defence.
Yeah.
I said that Trippier scored 2 free kicks the last 2 games. He won't be playing.
So the fact of the matter is, the fact of the matter is that he has had such a positive impact on Newcastle's performances as of late. So the fact that he has picked up an injury, albeit we don't like calling players out for the injury, that is positive news on the West Ham front, because he is an outlet and he offers them danger from any kind of set piece, really. And then, we were talking earlier in the week and you thought that this man was going to be a doubt, St. Maxim. We don't know. We've not heard anything really about that. But
looks like he might be playing.
Looks like he might be playing. I mean, talk to me about him, mate.
He was pictured in training today. If the pictures were published today, whether they were taken today, the guy is unplayable on his day. Like he's
5 goals and 3 assists for Newcastle this season.
Do we even dare think back to that game under, was it Pellegrini or Bilic?
Yeah.
When he played at the London Stadium, he played Zabaleta against him. I think we lost the game. It was like a Christmas time game. I think we lost 3-2 that day and we was 3-0 down. We pulled it back to 3-2, but I think Snodgrass scored in like the 90th minute. But it could have been like 5-0 in the first half an hour because every time that ball went forward, Maxim just absolutely roasted Zabaleta.
Absolutely.
The guy is the jewel in their crown at the moment. He's the guy that can grab the game by scruff of the neck, and he's unpredictable. He's got that bit of genius in him. He's got that bit of fire in him, except he also carries the ball with tremendous speed.
Yeah.
So they've got him.
But they've also got this guy who seems to be up there, and
Jonjo Shelvey.
And he's found his way back into the starting lineup again, and he's playing week in and week out, and he's kind of finding himself in a bit of form. We all know that on his day he's extremely capable of turning up and doing a job. I mean, we obviously know he's West Ham born and bred. He loves the club, apparently, but he's thereabouts, and he does seem to also know and enjoy playing against West Ham, doesn't he?
He's one of them players. It's weird. I'd say you'd have to build the team around him a bit.
Yeah.
He's not the most mobile. Like, he's not box-to-box all action. However, he does have a bit of the Pirlo about him.
Yeah.
You can just let him sit.
Did you just say he's got a bit of Pirlo about him?
mate. Yeah, like it's not the
No,
quality,
I
but it's the
get
way
it.
you play.
I get it. It's just the funny when you put the two names in.
It's obviously the actual levels of ability are not in comparison at all.
Yeah.
However, if you do let him sit and just give him the space deep in midfield to pass the ball about, he has got the ability to do it. And every time we play Newcastle, it seems to be that Shelby's coming into a bit of form, and we play him, and then we just sit off him. We're like, yeah, no, don't worry about him. He's like, it's John Doe Shelby, isn't it? And then he always comes up, scores a goal, dictates midfield. If you've got someone alongside him, like an Isaac Hayden, and you can have them two just sit in, especially if you're playing a back three with wing backs, it's then the thing is they're down there because they've been conceding, but Howe's brought in three defenders. They know how to score goals. They've got threats to score goals.
They do.
Even with Callum Wilson out injured, lost him, I would buy Chris Wood.
Well, he is a big miss for them, though. He's got 6 goals this season, but we all knew that what his injury record looked like when Newcastle, afforded to buy him. A lot of fans were interested in him, but we knew that he had not the greatest of injury records. But he is a top-notch player in front of goal. But like you said, we've got
12 games a season, Callum Wilson.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah.
However,
but they've got a player on the
for a
books,
team down the bottom,
and we know what Chris Wood's capable of. He loves a game against West Ham. And then they've got another player in their books who's not really hit form at all this season. But Joe Willock, who was one of their standout players for the tail end of last season, who's playing week in and week out, but just hasn't banged in a goal yet, really, and has been struggling as form as late. But you know what? Let's take a look and see what happened the last time out the two clubs met each other in the Premier League. This game has many memories for me. It was the first game I took Freddie, a little boy, to. It was his first ever football game, his first ever West Ham game, and he witnessed 6 goals, but he also witnessed West Ham score 4 away from home. And it was a great day out. It was a great day out to convince a little young, impressionable 5-year-old to become a West Ham fan and what journey he was going to be on. And so far, so good. Touchwood, that long may that continue as well. What's going to be different about that day? Or what do Newcastle do that's going to be different from that day to to the game tomorrow?
Probably. Well, I haven't got the lineup, but I'm assuming they probably play a back 5 on the Beatles. They probably play like a 5-3-2 or like a 5-2-3. Last week they played a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
There was another bloke I didn't even mention who's had like a massive renaissance. I don't know. He's like a different player underneath Eddie Howe, which is Joe Linton.
Yeah.
They spent big money on him and brought him in as a centre forward, but he's been like given a new lease of life as a box-to-box midfielder. It's just it's like the reverse of when Moyes come in the first time to Arnautovic. Now you're not a winger, you're a centre forward.
Yeah. Eddie
Howe's come in and gone, you ain't a centre forward, mate, but physical box-to-box midfielder, yeah, you can play that job, and he's doing really well. So last game they played 4-3-3, Trippier on one side, Manquillo on the other, Willock, Shelby, and Joe Linton as a midfield 3, behind Chris Wood, St. Maxim, and another guy that's come out of the wilderness, Ryan Fraser.
Yeah.
Underneath his old boss, who was a bit acrimonious fallout to their last stint, but last time it was 5-3-2. They sit back, they play long balls. Eddie Howe's team like playing football. They like getting on the ball. You see 4-3-3, he's going for goals. He's going all action, all attacking. Yeah. It may suit our game more, but because we struggle against trying to break teams down. However, it means they're going to get more options going forward.
Yeah.
They're not going to sit back as much. They're not going to be as... Although having said that, I did see a random stat that one of their tactics, they have the ball on the pitch the least amount of time possible. I think Aston Villa, they had the ball on the pitch for less than 45 minutes of a 90-minute game.
Well, let's take it. their stats for the season is they've played 23 games. They've only won 4, of which the last 3 of those games. So that makes you shows you the impact that Eddie Howe and the money investment they've had. They've won 3 of their 4 games in the last 3 Premier League games. They've lost 10. They've scored 25 goals. They've conceded 44 with 3 clean sheets. But, is this a whole new Newcastle setup? Are we completely talking about a completely different team and a different prospect, as Hornswogler is saying in the chat?
It's not the same. Obviously it's the same. It's not the same. It's not the same outlook. It's not the same tactics. And like I said, actually a lot of it isn't the same team.
Yeah.
Even that game against Aston Villa, Fabian Schär came in for Lascelles, who's I think was ill, had a knock. He's supposed to be back. So could they just bring Lascelles straight back in for Schär, go back to Lascelles and Dan Burn? Maybe Kraft will come in for Trippier. But a 4-3-3 is not what Newcastle used to play. And they used, under Bruce, it was 5-3-2 with wingbacks. Get crosses in. This is a 4-3-3. This is like gun-ho, top of the table sort of tactics to go out and attack. But they spent the money. He spent the money, spent it wisely. And like you said, they've only won 4 games this season, but they've won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And they're slowly starting to gain ground on even the little teams above them. They're not far off Everton. They're not far off Leeds. Not that far off Palace and Brentford. All of a sudden, 3 wins in a row down the bottom, 9 points. You've jumped massively. Their confidence is going to be through the roof. This is not going to be anything. At the start of the season, they were the Newcastle fans were upset that the tactics were awful. They had the worst attacking stats in the league. This is not going to be anywhere near the same game.
No.
And especially when we context of our form, you could not have picked 2 worst time to play it.
Well, you've got to give credit where credit's due, though. And performances not great, but results have been okay. We're still getting results over the line, and people could argue the point by saying, well, you don't play well, but you get results. That's where you want to be. Sometimes, not all season, but are you? The question I'd ask to you is, do you want West Ham to play well but lose games, or are you happy for us right now the way we are, getting results over the line? And right now, I think I'm happy with us getting results over the line. Yeah, of course we'd like to see both. Of course,
obviously, but the issue for me, and maybe that's like the old West Ham, is that how many times? For me, it's like I was going to say, how many times are we going to get away with it?
Yeah.
How many times are we going to get away with turning up, playing poorly, and then getting something out of the game?
Yeah.
Like you said, Man United played them recently and drew. Could have lost it.
Yeah.
Everton turned up and got demolished under new Lampard.
Yeah.
Aston Villa under Gerrard have been one of the form teams in the league, and they struggled.
Yeah. Up steps West Ham, no mate. Up steps West Ham. Let me read some kind of Opta stats for you. West Ham have scored at least once in all 12 of our Premier League home games this season. The best such 100% record in the competition this term. West Ham have both scored and conceded in 16 Premier League games this season, with no side doing so more often. Newcastle have scored from a direct free kick in each of the last 3 Premier League games, with John Joe Shelvey scoring against Leeds and Kieran Trippier netting against Everton and Aston Villa. No side has ever scored from a direct free kick in 4 consecutive games in the competition. Newcastle have won their last 2 Premier League away games against West Ham, but have never won 3 consecutive visits to the West Ham Stadium in the league history. Since David Moyes' return to West Ham, only Liverpool with 27 have scored more Premier League goals from corners than West Ham, who've got 25. This season alone, only Liverpool, who've got 11, have scored such goals. West Ham, who've got 9, and Newcastle have won each of the last 3 Premier League games, moving themselves 4 points clear of the relegation zone. They last won 4 consecutive league games back in April 2018. So there's some Opta stats for you, mate. But let's go and talk West Ham. And let's go and take a little brief look at what Moyes said in the press conference today. did do a video on the press conference, but I'll bring up some of the key points. He says, we've been, on Zuma, he says, we've been clear and concise. I mean, listen, all the reporters are desperate to get something out of this whole situation. But he goes on and he says there, we've been clear and concise. There is an investigation going on at the moment, but I'm not an expert on that. I do think we've been misleading at all. He's better, but it's taken him a couple of days to get over it. He's quite a bad illness. He's trained the last couple of days, so I'm hoping that he will be available. We want him to concentrate on his training. We're hoping that we can keep him at those levels of performances. Hopefully he can focus on his football, and we'll give him such support as we can before we get him ready back to his best. What do you take from that then? You know, Zuma has been ill, you know, dropped out from the game last time out before the game kicked off against Leicester, but he is back in training. According to Moyes, has not been well. Do you see him making a solid return into the starting lineup, mate?
I think if he's fit, Moyes will play him.
Yeah.
I do, however, think that Moyes isn't now stupid enough to say he's going to play him.
Yeah.
I think he'll kind of let that wait until the teams get announced tomorrow, and everyone can rage about it, rather than announcing tonight or today, this afternoon, saying, "Oh yeah, he's going to play tomorrow," and then waiting for the, you know, like last time, get all the abuse and the tirades come through social media beforehand.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, absolutely.
I think if he's fit, he'll play.
Yep, get your comments in. Let us know your thoughts on this. Comments from Zuma. He says, goes on and talks about the squad. He said, the atmosphere has always been good here. We have a really good team spirit and a group of lads who are resilient. They showed that in their performance last week and even against Kidderminster. We want to improve our performances, but we have a really good spirit among the squad. You can totally see that, can't you? But then he goes on and he says, we've got one or two doubts and one or two question marks over some players who've picked up some injuries. I wouldn't give that away, but like every other club, we've got one or two injuries at the moment. However, he doesn't go into and let you read into that too much. We don't know if he's classifying potentially Zuma in that. What you then can do is start to look through the training images and see what players you can and can't see. There was a little bit doubt cast earlier on today on Jared Bowen, but Jared Bowen has been seen in training. Who you don't really see in training is the likes of Zuma. You don't see Diop, you don't see Dawson. They don't really focus on the defenders as such. So I don't know if, unless anyone else has heard anything, I think it's all pretty much hearsay at the moment, isn't it, really? But
I think the only one that definitely seems to be a thing is Masuaku.
Yeah. Yeah.
We know we've got Masuaku, we know we've got Bonner, so is that what he's talking about? Or is he not
don't know, mate.
Bonner from it?
He does like the smoke and mirrors, though, doesn't he? He loves to play that
Yeah.
game a little bit for people. So, listen, what makes it more interesting is when we go in to build our starting 11. So if you are watching, name your starting 11 in the chat, put it in, and myself and Matt will start going through the team and building that up. So let's bring in our starting 11 here. Let me see if I can do this on the screen, which I think I can, which is good. So when it comes to West Ham starting 11, let's talk about the goalkeepers first and foremost. I mean, really, is there any questions here regarding them at all? I mean, Fabianski's going to stay in his role, isn't he, really?
He said last week, didn't he?
Yep.
Fabianski's my number one. So,
yep.
You know, that ended the debate for everyone, didn't it?
There you go. Let's fire him in there. Right. What formation do you see as changing formation for the game at home, or do you still stay in stick with 4?
I think it'll be a back 4.
Right, okay, cool. Let's bring the players that could be in contention. It really is going to be one, isn't it? And it's going to be Creswell. You agree?
Yeah.
Right, let's move over to the right back position. As of late, and the man you can see in the back of my wall there is Vladimir Sofal, who has been a great servant and still is a fantastic servant to the club. I have noticed as of late that, especially against Leicester, he was really heavily getting caught out. I mean, people can question Creswell from the game against Leicester, but I really feel that Vladimir Sofal was really getting caught out a lot and was struggling with Harvey Barnes down that right-hand side. And it was the right decision to sub him down there. Now, you've got a player that's attacking that side, St. Maximum, pace, creativity. Is Sofal the right man to be able to handle him, or do you see a change being made in that position, mate?
I'll be honest. I think I don't think Sofal will play. I don't think he'll start him.
You don't think he'll start him?
The fact that he actually took him off.
Yeah.
You know, he actually made that substitution and was like, no, coming off. Last time
I
we done
agree.
that sort of substitution was Dawson. Dawson was Diop against Leeds, and
Yep.
the next game Diop didn't start.
I agree with you,
So
mate.
it
Now,
now
listen,
comes down to these two.
what's the pace
And
or
what do you want?
yeah?
Do you want? Yeah, do you want the solid, maybe not so much attacking, but very solid defensive Johnson, or do you want to go with Fredericks, who will
Get it in the
match?
chat if you are watching. Who do you prefer in this? And
Do you go for the more rounded Johnson, or do you go for pace? I mean, in fairness, Fredericks come on, didn't have a bad game when he come on against Leicester.
Yeah.
And he did shut up that. As soon as he come on, I think they moved Harvey Barnes to the middle, didn't they? They took him off the wing because as soon as Fredericks come on, that spot was gone. So I'm actually torn, to be honest. I think
a lot of people in the chat are saying would be Ben Johnson. But to be honest, I know it was interesting to see Ryan Fredericks come on, but I think it would be pretty harsh on Ben Johnson. But the only thing is, Fredericks has got the game time under his belt from the last game and actually had a reasonable performance and did nullify.
And yet he could have had Johnson on the last game and he didn't. He picked Fredericks.
Yeah. So what are you going to go with?
I'm going to go with Fredericks.
Are you?
Yeah.
It's a big kind of bold move.
We're going to match the pace.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Let's put him in there. I mean, that's it. People in the chat, get your opinion in. What do you think? A lot of people are calling for Ben Johnson. I mean, English Yardy's saying Johnson is pacey. And Anio saying Fredericks is a good option against Maxim. Marcus Lieb is saying go with Fredericks. So the chat's pretty split here. Fredericks has the speed to match St. Maximin as well. So a lot of people kind of agree with you there. Right, let's get back into our centre halves. You've got Diop, who had a great performance against Leicester, stepped up when people least expected him to. Zuma, who was originally in the starting lineup, but picked up a sickness bug, apparently, and didn't make the game in the end. And of course, Craig Dawson. Now, we haven't saw any of these three players in training. However, we haven't seen all the training images. We do know that Dawson has been playing with a knock for several weeks. But what do you do in the centre half pairing, mate?
Well, I think we all know Dawson will play.
Yep.
I think he's the solid guarantee at the moment, Dawson.
Yep.
The other two comes down to if he's available. If Zuma is available, Zuma will play.
Yep.
Against everyone else's argumentative and should he shouldn't he play.
If you're in the chat, do you think that's harsh on Diop, considering he had a very good game last week at Leicester? It would be pretty harsh on him, but I think if you I don't know if you can run a risk of giving a player a game time just to try and get a performance over the line. If you need that, you need those 3 points, because we definitely do need those 3 points, mate, don't we? So, happy with that then?
Yeah.
Yep. Central midfield pairing of Tommy Soucek and Declan Rice, of course.
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
There's nothing else, is there?
No.
4 hours obviously fallen off the face of the earth, apparently. doesn't exist in David Moyes' mind anymore. It's just that he's the guy that won like the competition to come and train with the team. So you're back to square one of there's only 2 options available. So we're just going to run them both into the ground and hope that they both stay fit the rest of the season.
Yep, absolutely. Smudgy Smudger saying if Zuma is fit, then play him. Freno saying Diop and Zuma, Big D got a knock at training. Harsh one to swallow. Does not a summer make? I don't know what that means, but you could see maybe Dawson potentially not making it, but we know if he doesn't, then we've got Diop stepping in there. Let's move into the interesting part. I'm going to bring all the players out here that can be playing in these positions, because we've got 4 positions to choose from, mate, and we've really realistically got 6 players to go into those roles. Now, Antonio, the debate about Antonio, and I think we have to go with up front first, because that could really kind of dictate where we will go from the rest of the team. People are talking a bit of Jared Bowen, bit of Antonio up front. Jared Bowen spoke out, said his favourite position is coming in, cutting in from the right-hand side. Moyes has said today in the press conference, he spoke a lot about Antonio. He actually said, let me get this up for you, what he actually said on Antonio. He said here, I want him to get on the goal scoring sheet regularly. We're fourth in the Premier League as goals scored goes. Generally, any football manager would probably want the goals to be shared around because it shows you can score from different areas. I want to get Antonio back to the levels because he's really important. We're just beginning to see little bits, which is giving us encouragement, and he's getting back. And I don't think it will be long before he's back on the score sheet. What do you think on the Antonio front?
Don't let anyone else hear that he spoke out against him. Get crucified on Twitter for that. He's not been out, is he? But I can't blame him. I made the comment last, I think, the Leicester game. He can't play the way he wants to play.
Yeah.
We all know Antonio is gung-ho, all-action, gun-swinging. He does everything 100% from start to finish. But you also know the amount of games he's playing, he can't go 100% from start to finish. He just can't. If you had anything else to come off the bench, he could go all gung-ho from the start, and he'd probably be knackered after 60 minutes. You'd be like, that's all right. Got that 34-year-old who's done the rounds around Europe, but, you know, he's got half an hour in him. He can come on for half an hour. We didn't do anything, so we can't do that. So Antonio's trying to do what's best for the team rather than himself. You know, he's sitting there going, if I go balls out for 60 minutes, well, then great. We're basically playing with 10 men for 30 minutes because there's nothing else to come on. So,
what do you think then?
Is it frustrating he doesn't score more goals? Yeah, but can't blame the way he's playing at the moment. He's trying to increase his stamina and make sure he lasts 90 minutes. But he'll start. There's no way he won't.
He's going to start. Yeah, I agree. I think he will start as well. And it might be to people's, get pissed off with it and etc. But I can't see how he's not going to start, to be honest. I really can. And especially the fact that, you've got a player in Jared Bowen's ability who's playing out of his skin week in and week out, and he's doing well in that position. And I don't know if we really
he's
can
given
afford
from that right-hand side.
Yeah. If you move him up there, then
that.
Yeah. We do have other options, though, if we did play Bowen through the front, because obviously you've got the players out on the left that I can bring in. But let's just go with that just now. Through the middle, what we did see last week was Lanzini perform in there, but we then saw the change at half when the substitutes were made, and Benny came in and made an impact performance. Now, I have said all along, I think these two players share this role. It's just whether or not who starts and who comes on off the bench. What do you think, mate?
Funny enough, I would say the game tomorrow is probably more going to be built for Lanzini. Eddie Howe is not stupid. I don't think they're going to go entirely gung-ho, wide open, end-to-end football.
Yeah.
I do think he'll try and make them compact and hard to beat and then use the pace on the counter-attack. In which case, you're going to need someone to unlock a defence.
Yep.
And start Lanzini. If an hour in, Lanzini's not doing it, with tired legs, and then Benrahma comes on again, is all the impact he made.
I
also, Lanzini didn't have a good game, and Benrahma didn't the game before, but you can't chop. I know I said Benrahma had a bad game, so I start Lanzini, and he did start Lanzini last game. Lanzini didn't have a good game last game, Benrahma did for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But you can't keep flip-flopping between them. You need to stick at some point.
Yep. I can't help but also think that, if Benrahma is fit, he's another player I didn't see in the training video today. And if Benrahma is fit, that I wouldn't even be surprised if he does give him a bit of starting berth, because I do think these two players can share this position. I think that whoever comes off the bench can make such an impact. I think we've seen that with Lanzini and we've seen that with Benrahma. And I'm actually thinking, the more I think about this game, is if Benrahma is fit, that maybe this game would suit him, because it's a bit of a, I know it's a different Newcastle team to what we saw at the start of the season, but when he did play them the last time round, he did look really good at the start of the season. I wonder if this could be the good bounce back game in front of the fans to show what, is his performance coming on off the bench to be rewarded. I don't know what you think. Have I convinced you or not?
It's not convinced me, mate. I just generally don't know. Like, this is one of the ones, it's Moyes could wake up tomorrow morning and frigging pick up a coin out of his wallet and flip it and be like, heads is Lanzini and tails is Benrahma. They play in the same position, different styles.
let's go with Lanzini. Who do you put out in the left then? Fornals?
Yes.
Right. So
I begrudgingly say yes.
Right. I'm doing that quickly, and the reason why I'm doing it quickly is because I'm going to bring this to your attention that we have mentioned but we haven't addressed, which is this statement from him. We've got 1 or 2 doubts and 1 or 2 question marks over some players who have picked up some injuries. I wouldn't give that away, but like every other club, we've got 1 or 2 injuries at the moment. Now, if you take that into consideration, this team that we've announced won't start. So, if we do, unless he's playing smoke and mirrors and Yarmolenko's an injured, who's on the bench, Sofal's injured, who's on the bench, Ben Johnson's injured, who's on the bench. We know Lanzini had a knock and he had a problem with his Achilles. However, he did start the last game, so that could have taken a bit of an impact on him. So if Lanzini, I'm going to guess that maybe Lanzini could be one of the players. I've seen him. What I saw in the training video today was Lanzini was training with the squad. However, they focused solely on Lanzini at one particular point when he was on the ladders, and he was the only player doing that, going through the paces. So I wonder if he's taken a bit of a knock, and would he be risked for the game tomorrow? Where are you thinking we might have a knock?
Does anyone look like Creswell didn't have a good game?
Who?
Creswell sort of struggled. Creswell last week.
But it's not about struggling, it's about who's injured.
Well, no, this is what I'm trying to give reasoning for who could be, maybe Creswell was carrying a knock last week. We know Dawson's been carrying a knock for weeks. Could it be that? There's 2 subs that come on with Benny and Fornals and Lanzini come off. Lanzini had a knock beforehand. I'll be honest. The other options, but I'd actually like to see Vlasic.
Really, over Fornals?
I think Vlasic had a big impact when he came off the bench.
Yeah,
he certainly plays an entire different way to Fornals. Fornals is a number 10 that sits out on the wing that has an engine to get up and down, but he doesn't have pace and he won't run past people, which is why we do so much better on the right than the left.
Yeah.
The left-hand side is get Fornals up the pitch to a reasonable position, knock it back, Creswell swing it in. The right-hand side is get it out to Bowen and let him run at a fullback and get past him and put it in the box. And against Leicester, once we took off the 2 more technical ball passing, that sort of tempo play in Lanzini and Fornals, and we brought on Ben Rama and Vlasic, who both like to carry the ball and run at defenders and commit people, we started getting further up the pitch. We started attacking more. Yeah. He made a difference. He plays an entirely different way. I'd like to see him get game. He won't. It's just me. It's just me wishful thinking. It wouldn't surprise me if it's, I'd like to see that team, but it wouldn't surprise me if I don't think he'll start both of them.
Yeah.
I can see him start one of them. Maybe Benny starts there and Fornals is out on the wing.
Yep. I'm going to bring this back down and put Fornals in, and then I'll come away from the team and I'll go through your comments and see what you think. I'm just giving us several different options, depending on how.
That's probably the team we'll see.
Yeah.
The only other shout would be Johnson. Again, it's
or depending on how he's thinking this Newcastle team are going to line up, we do have this option as well. I mean, it depends on how we are going to line up there, but you bring Fredericks in, you put Zuma there, you could even bring Diop into the equation, Creswell here, and then you start protecting the back line like that, and then you leave the front. So that would be like a 5-2-3. Yeah, who do you get out? I mean, you could maybe pull out Fornals. Yeah.
The only thing I would say is that is doable, but I would say if he played that formation, still grudgingly don't think it'd be Diop.
Yeah. What do you think? Creswell comes in then?
I think he'd tuck Creswell inside.
Who left?
Johnson.
Johnson. Yep.
Yeah.
So many different options, isn't there? Let me see what everyone is saying in the chat. So many different comments. Harley is saying, I think Vlasic to start against Newcastle. He's the most physically strong in that position. I'm going to trip you out. You can use that to allow Creswell to come up the field. I don't care. Just don't like teams buying their success. Salah, Chelsea, Man City, now Newcastle. Look at the human rights record. Should have not been allowed. Smudge is saying you need to be playing your good passers and Lanzini and Fornals to open up the Newcastle defence. Yeah, I do agree with you there as well. Joan is saying Bowen may be injured. What do you think about 2 injuries hinted at Moyes? Hopefully we went through that for you, Joan. Antonio seems well off the pace. Vlasic has good hold-up play. He did. He came off the bench and actually had good hold-up play. Hornswogler saying can't be bothered with Vlasic. WHU58, just play Vlasic up front and use Antonio as an impact sub. Would like to see Vlasic in the number 10. Yep. Let's see Vlasic in the number 10 position, sometimes central behind striker. Audi saying Creswell needs to stay on the bench because he does not get up the pitch quickly or get back quickly. So yeah, so many different choices there for people. So keep your comments. What do you think then? I mean, I'm going to bring up the teams that we had a look at there. The thing is, we've known this all along. I mean, this is starting to get back to the time where we're struggling to predict the starting lineup for West Ham again. But I think formation, is he going to stick? Do you think he's realistically going to stick with the 4 at the back?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
The 4-2-3-1. It's, you know what? It's like muscle repetition, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
so we've got. Here's one team. We've got. Here's the 4-2-3-1. We've got Creswell, Fredericks in at right back. We've got Fornals, Lanzini, Bowen, and Antonio up top. Another option is instead of Lanzini and Fornals, you've got Benrahma and Fornals in there. Another option is you've got Benrahma and Vlasic through the middle. Then you've got Lanzini and Vlasic up top, or West Ham flick to a back 5 where Diop steps in alongside the central defenders, or you bring Creswell back in there and you put Johnson out on the left. So many different options that Moyes can go for. And it depends on, take Meswell out. Vegeta's in the house. Hope you're well, mate. Hope you're well. But it's going to be an interesting one, mate, and it certainly is. So if you are watching, make sure you get your predictions in the chat. We'll go through your predictions in the chat, and we'll ask Matt what his predictions will be as well. So, Matt, for the game tomorrow, early kickoff, 12:30 kickoff at home. You're going to the game. I'll be doing the Matchday live from here. What are your predictions, mate, for the game tomorrow?
I'm going to go 2-1.
Oh, mate, you steal my predictions every single bloody week. 2-1. I mean, I'll take that now, mate. I'll take that now. It'd be good. It's about time we steal 6 points off of bloody Newcastle.
It's just, I don't think we'll keep them out. I don't think it'll be a shutout.
Yeah.
I think they will score. And then you've got to back the win. I think it's going to be a lot tighter than it was the first game. So, yeah, I'd say 2-1. Maybe a 3-1. Maybe we get a late goal on the counter.
Yep. What are you going, 2-1 or 3-1 then?
I'll tell you what, I'll let you off. I'll go 3-1.
Right, I'll go 2-1 West Ham. There you go. There you go. Mandy J saying 3-3. And Neil's saying 3-2 West Ham. Jonas saying 2-0 West Ham. Matt saying 2-1. Mark R saying West Ham 3-1. Freno is saying big win for us 3-0 because we are massive. Scott are saying we're going to run rampant through their defence, but Shelby will beat Fabs 4-1. Smudgy Smudger saying if Antonio is on form, then I reckon it'll be 3-2 or 3-1 to West Ham. Matt, who is the Newcastle player you fear the most, mate?
There's only really 2 names, but
I'm asking for one.
Maxim. I'll give one of them. You can have the other one. Maxim. Don't Maxim.
Yeah. Why though?
If he turns up, if he's on form, he generally is. He can be unplayable. Like there's very few people that have the low center of gravity and the skill set that he has, like the quick feet tricks, and then the finishing product at the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, even last week in the Villa game, like I think 20, 30 might be half an hour ago, he took a knock. He was struggling, and they'd made all their subs, and like 5 minutes he just struggled around the pitch. You thought, oh look, he's just out there to make up the numbers, and then all of a sudden he just flicked it on and went and scored a goal, and you're like, oh, but he just can turn it on like that. It's the pace as well. Everyone in the Premier League, it's the one thing you hate. People that got pace and are direct and carry the ball at pace. It's hardest thing to defend against.
Yeah. Who's the player they should fear the most?
I'm coming a bit like a broken record at the moment, but guys on fire. Bowen. Right.
Jared Bowen.
Don't know how many games in a row has he scored? Right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Stats are ridiculous for the season.
You know, I think he's now equalled like Grealish's best ever season at Aston Villa.
Yep.
And there's still 13 games of the season left.
Still plenty of time for him to keep going and keep smashing those goals in. I've got a really interesting stat here. Here we are. And he's got 8 goals this season in 25 games with 8 assists. 16 Premier League goals he's been involved in this season. Only Mo Salah
has more.
More. Only Mo Salah has more. So there you go. That brings it into our Matchday build-up show. Make sure you do join us tomorrow for the Matchday Live. We'll be bringing you content and we'll hopefully be going live to the stadium as well. So make sure you do tune in. I'll let you know what time that goes out at. Make sure you keep an eye on the channel. And yeah, hope you've enjoyed it. It's been short and sweet tonight. We thought that we've just had apologies from the away guest that couldn't come on and got stuck in the storm. So he's apologised and hopefully he'll be on the next time that they come back round. But we've gone through all your predictions, which is really cool. There's loads more people coming in the chat. Bowen's on fire. Nita Johnson to pick up St. Maxim. Audi is saying Sam the Max is unplayable. Fear Big Dawson. Yeah, definitely. It's time West Ham get another set piece goal like Dawson did step up last week. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're new around here, go and hit that subscribe button. Also hit the bell notification over in the corner. That'll let you know when our shows go live. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. Get behind West Ham and we will see you tomorrow. Come on, you Irons.